What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare King, and today we're actually here with a brand new segment that we're going to be calling Rogue Rumbles. And basically, I kind of felt there was a need for this type of series because I felt like I was taking sometimes rogue decks that weren't necessarily the most budget friendly, like maybe they still played Shaman, and I was still putting them in like our budget deck videos, so I felt like that may have been a little bit misleading. So I felt like, let's just do our own rogue deck type of section. That way, anytime you go to look at a budget deck that we post, you won't have to worry about us still somehow sneaking some shamans in there and making it a little non-budget friendly. So that's why we're doing this, and I feel like this is a good deck to take a look at for the first entry in the series. It's very unorthodox, and that's going to be Sharpedo, Alolan Dugtrio. So a couple new cards from Sun and Moon. Actually, all of our attackers in this deck come from Sun and Moon, and we are going to attempt to annoy the living snot out of our opponent. So let's look at Sharpedo. He's going to be our main attacker of this deck. So Sharpedo, stage 1, 110 hit points. Fighting weak, psychic resistance, free retreat, all fine. But it has this ability, Rough Skin. If this Pokemon's your active and it's damaged by an opponent's attack, they take 3 damage counters. So kind of like Bursting Balloon, but just with 3 damage counters. But you best believe we are still going to be running some Burst Balloons in this deck to make our opponents take 9 damage counters every time they attack us. So that's going to be the first half of how we're going to annoy our opponent. But it's attack that we're going to do damage with, Aqua Impact for a Dark and DCE to 60 plus 20 more for every energy in your opponent's retreat cost. So if our opponent has a 2 retreat cost, for example, we are going to do 100 damage to them. But we do run some other ways to amplify that damage a little bit more. So we're running a 4-4 line of him. Like I said, that is our main attacker. The other piece of this combo is going to be Alolan Dugtrio. And that's for its ability, Tangling Hair. Your opponent's active Pokemon retreat cost is 1 more energy. So obviously we can get ourselves out a couple Dugtrio, make it a little harder for our opponent to retreat, and it makes our Sharpedos do more damage. So that's kind of the whole purpose behind this card. The attack isn't too relevant, but it does let you do 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And you don't apply weakness or resistance. So there might be some interesting situations where we can, Lysander up something big and have its retreat cost increase so much that it can't retreat and you can snipe stuff. But most of the time we really don't want to attack with this guy. Okay, the other attacker we're going to be playing is one Tauros GX. So I felt like we needed an attacker in this deck that could attack just for DCE or just for 1 attachment, since Sharpedo takes 2 attachments and it gets knocked out pretty easily. So that's where Tauros is going to come in handy. We're mainly playing it for its Mad Bull GX attack. So it does 30 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. So we play Burst Balloon in this list as well. So anytime your opponent has to attack into Tauros, they are running the risk of some really serious retaliation. So ideally, if we get a Burst Balloon down on Tauros, they take 6 damage counters, and it powers up Mad Bull GX. It also powers up the attack Rage, so it does 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And of course, we also still have the solid Horn attack for just a DCE, which is still a good attack. You can knock out things like Rowlets, Fomantises, all sorts of low HP basics. And then just 2 Shaman to round out the Pokemon line, just to help us draw some more cards with that setup ability. So moving on to our supporter cards, we're going to be running 4 Professor Sycamore, discard your hand and draw 7, pretty straightforward. 3N, another common draw supporter. Each player shuffles their hand and their deck and draws equal to the amount of prize cards they have left. So it's good in the early game to draw cards, and good in the late game to help disrupt our opponents potentially. Also playing 1 Professor Kukui, so draw 2 cards, and you also do 20 more damage for the turn. So especially with Sharpedo, if we have to go against something like a Mega Pokemon, or maybe like some big GXs, sometimes you have to 3-shot your opponent's Pokemon, and with Professor Kukui, it can help with the math to ensure that you're always just 2-shotting your opponent and not having to 3 or 4-shot them. So next up we got 2 Lysander, just to choose what we want to take knockouts on. And the last supporter is going to be 1 Delinquent. So discard any Stadium card in play and if you do, your opponent discards 3 cards from your hand. So we play a lot of ways to disrupt our opponent, and Delinquent is just one more way that we can maybe help disrupt them and tilt the game in our favor a little bit. So for Versus Seeker, just to reuse all those different supporters we just mentioned. For Ultra Ball, another standard staple card. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for any Pokemon. Also playing 1 additional search card with Level Ball. So search your deck for Pokemon 90 hit points or less, reveal it and put it into your hand. So this is cool because we have a couple different evolutions we want to get out. So Level Ball, let's just grab that. And actually, if you guys want to, you can, I think, cut this for a Nest Ball. I actually think that might be better in this list in hindsight, since you can also grab Tauros as well. Since Level Ball won't let you get any of your evolutions, I think Nest Ball might be a little bit better here. Okay, let's see. 1 Escape Rope. Each player switches their active with their bench Pokemon. Just an extra form of switching. Let's see. 4 Crushing Hammer. So a common disruption card most people are familiar with. Flip a coin if heads. Discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. Yep, so we have to, it takes 2 attachments to power up a Sharpedo, so we really want to slow our opponent down while we get our board set up, and get out a Dugtrio, maybe a couple Sharpedo. And so Crushing Hammer is just another way to do that. Let's see here. So we also have, for some tool cards, 2 Floatstone, ideally going to be for our Dugtrios and Shamans, just to give them free retreat. And also 4 Burst Balloon, so like I said, we are going to try to attach this to our Sharpedos, make our opponent take 9 damage counters anytime they attack us. So Burst Balloon, it's a tool card, you just attach it, and when your opponent attacks into your active that has Burst Balloon, they take 6 damage counters. So that's how we're gonna do some extra damage with this deck. And just because we really want to annoy our opponent, we're gonna play Eco Arm as well, just to get 3 tool cards back, ideally 3 more Burst Balloons, and make them attack into 7 Burst Balloons in the course of a game. So they are going to be so frustrated playing against us. I don't know if we're going to win or not with this deck, but we are definitely going to at least annoy them. Okay, and I think the last of our trainer cards, I'm sorry, we have 1 Super Odd common inclusion. Get any 3 basic Pokemon, or I'm sorry, Pokemon or basic energy from your discard back into your deck. So maybe if our opponent knocks out some Sharpedos, or we have to discard some evolution pieces early on, we can get them back with our Super Odd. And the last trainer card is going to be 2 Team Aqua Secret Base. It increases the retreat cost 1 more for each player's non-Team Aqua Pokemon. So that will unfortunately count against us as well. But we do play Floatstone and Escape Rope, so we can still find ways to retreat. But this will increase the damage output for our Sharpedos and make it harder for our opponent to actually retreat their Pokemon. Okay, and just for the energy count, 4 double colorless energy, and then 6 dark energy. Pretty straightforward, guys. So yeah, that is the list we are going to use with this interesting little Sharpedo deck. I'm going to switch over to the battle portion of the video. That way you can see how this actually looks in action, okay? Alright guys, we're going to call the coin flip for this game, which we do lose, which does suck because unfortunately this deck really can't do much on the first turn of the game if it goes second. As far as damage wise, so getting the extra turn is actually really important, but Diglett is actually a decent starter to start with too. I did forget to mention that Diglett actually has a free attack, so we'll get to maybe check that out this turn as well. Okay, so our opponent has Trubbish, so this could maybe be Mega Mewtwo, it could be Yveltal. I think those are probably the most popular decks that run Garbodor at the moment. So it's probably one of this if I just had to guess. So let's see what our opponent decides to Ultra Ball for. Okay, Mr. Mime is going to discard. That's interesting. So maybe it could be Vespiquen? Oh, okay. It's going to be an Yveltal deck, it looks like. But if he plays Mr. Mime, who knows? There might be some other interesting cards in here as well. Okay, so not a horrible start from our opponent. Got the Bell and DCE down on their Yveltal. We do have a Crushing Hammer in hand, so hopefully we can get that off that Yveltal and slow our opponent down a little bit. Okay, a second Trubbish, so we are probably going to be ability locked at some point in this game. I think it's safe to say we won't have a way to use our abilities. But let's see. Still a hand without a supporter, but luckily we have Ultra Ball, so we can get Shaman. Here we're going to fail the Crushing Hammerheads, unfortunately. So what do we do here? This is a little bit annoying. I don't want to get rid of too many of these cards. Probably get rid of Lysander, maybe? Oh, Sharpedo and Diglett, okay. I'm guessing, well, I mean, we do run a thick Sharpedo line, so we can get those back. I definitely think I should have gotten rid of Lysander, though. I don't know what I was thinking, since we can get it back with Versus Seeker anyways. So you're going to Lysander, bring up this other Trubbish, and make it a little bit hard for our opponent to actually retreat. And here I actually have an interesting situation. I can choose to Shaman for some more cards and hope we hit a supporter off Spelunk here. So Spelunk lets us rearrange the top 3 cards, and fortunately, our plan backfires on us. So it was a little risky not benching the Shaman, because, you know, you never want 2 Shamans on your bench at one point. But we're just going to rearrange the top 3 cards of our deck, put them back in any order. But luckily, since this Team Aqua base is in play, even if our opponent has a DCE, they won't be able to retreat this Trubbish. So it's going to buy us some time. Oh, well, never mind. There's that plan. I was going to say it would buy us some time to actually get set up a little bit more. So opponent's going to grab a Shaman, which I'm fine with. Bench all the Shamans you want to. I'm happy to see those hit the board. So if they can find a Floatstone, that would be a real pain, because then this Yveltal would come down and really start doing some work on us. Okay, so they are going to get Garbodor, and that's actually going to be, you know, like I said, that is a big backfire, us not having a supporter in the top 3 cards of our deck, because that means Shaman. We can't use that on our next turn because now Garbodor's in play. It shuts off abilities. Oh, but okay. So luckily our opponent does have to play End to bail us out here. Okay, so we're still in the game, guys. And this hand's not much better. So, I mean, we play a decent amount of supporters, but we are just not hitting them this game. Okay, we do have a Sharpedo, which is okay. Let's see, we're going to Delinquent, I think. I like that, and then we can put down our own Team Aqua Secret base and increase our opponent's retreat cost. So even though our opponent is definitely very well set up and kind of ahead in terms of developing their board, we're doing some things to maybe, tilt the game back in our favor a little bit, just to slow them down enough for us to get set up. Okay, so just checking our opponent discarded. And what do we do here? I don't like the idea of committing 3 energy to a Sharpedo, so I think I'm going to keep an energy on this Diglett to retreat in hopes that we hit a supporter for next turn to get DCE. Well, I mean, there's DCE there, so let's grab that at the least. We definitely want to draw that. And, yeah, so hopefully our opponent whiffs the Floatstone again, because we really need as many turns as possible to get back in this game. We are just drawing so dead here. Okay, they do have DC, but luckily we have that Team Aqua Seeker base, so that is going to prevent our opponent from actually retreating this Trubbish, as long as they don't hit a Floatstone. So they're going to play Max Elixir. Seems good, building up their other Yveltal. Another Max Elixir, okay. Okay, so this is it's getting a little scary for us. I mean, we do have a couple Burst Balloons. So, I mean, we will have some ways to do some damage, even though we aren't drawing that well. But nevertheless, this is a little bit of a scary situation for us. And okay, cool, so our opponent does not have the Floatstone, so we do get the DCE. And, trying to think here. So here, we definitely want to attach a Burst Balloon, because we can almost guarantee our opponent is going to retreat this next turn. And so I'm kind of attaching the Burst Balloon to Sharpedo in anticipation that our opponent has Lysander. Well, we basically know they're going to retreat into an Yveltal no matter what, basically. Nice, we hit Sycamore. And they've gone through a good bit of their deck, so they could very well have Lysander as well. So we're definitely we're kind of hedging against the fact that our opponent might have a way to take out our only attacker. Okay, so our opponent's going to evolve, just taking out our Diglett. Okay, but I'm happy he did not take out our Sharpedo. But nice, we have Sycamore, we have DCE, another Burst Balloon. So, you know, it's not the end of the world just yet. Okay, so cool, so we got Carvanha, we have Tauros, Ultra Ball, Versus Seeker for next turn. So it's not looking too bad just yet, guys. It's looking okay. Okay, so here we're going to Aqua Impact, doing 120. Which works out really well as far as the math, so we definitely want, even if they bump our stadium for next turn, we can still, well actually, this Sharpedo is probably going to get knocked out no matter what, unless our opponent just passes or retreats. So let's see what they ought to do. Maybe they'll retreat into, oh okay. So they're going to knock out our Sharpedo, and, oh yeah, I forgot his ability is turned off, so our opponent only takes the damage from the Burst Balloon, which I'm still fine with though. Nice, so here we're going to evolve into Sharpedo. And let's see, I think I may have goofed on this one, guys. Oh yeah, I do remember. I was planning on taking a knockout with Shaman this turn. That was going to be my big goal here. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to promote Carvanha, evolve into Sharpedo, have free retreat. And then I realized, oh wait, Sharpedo has one retreat now because of our own Team Aqua secret base. So, definitely a scrubby misplay on my part there. But hey, it's not the end of the world just yet. We have, well, I'm not sure what we can really do here. So, yeah, so this is definitely not good. So we just have to pass and let our opponent take another knockout potentially. I mean, we do have Lysander, I think, in our discard pile, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and our opponent is going to delinquent us, so that's okay. We do have Versus Seeker to get Sycamore back, or N if our opponent does N us, or if they do take a knockout. I like that play too. But I would imagine we will probably see an Evil, oh, Escape Rope, and I'm actually kind of okay with this. So we're going to promote Tauros, and basically kind of saying, hey, you can attack into Tauros if you want, but if you do, you know, you're not only going to take 6 damage counters, but we're going to use Mad Bull GX against you probably right after you do. And so Tauros is definitely kind of weird for Yveltal to handle. Unless you can knock it out in one hit, it's definitely a scary card you have to attack into. So let's see what our opponent does decide to actually do here. Okay, so we're just going to Y-Cyclone. I think that's an okay move. They're basically anticipating that we are going to have a way to knock out this active Yveltal EX. Okay, so here we have an Eco Arm, so let's play that and get our Burst Balloons back into the deck. And it'll probably just, well, we can end our opponent, I guess, or Sycamore. Yeah, I think Sycamore's fine. Our opponent already has a 3-card hand, so may as well draw an extra card. And unfortunately, we do whiff energy here. But we do have Floatstone, so we can potentially just Sky Return and maybe promote a Sharpedo with a Bursting Balloon. I kind of like that play. Yeah, that seems cool to me. So let's do that. We will just Sky Return for 30, and it takes that Shaman off the board as well. But here I'm going to grab another Carvanha. Now it looks like I'm hesitating about putting it down. Not sure why. I think I'm just overthinking it here. So we're going to do 30 and promote this Sharpedo. And I'm curious why we haven't hit many of our Crushing Hammers. We should still have 3. I think we've only played 1. So we will be able to hopefully use some more of those later in this game as well. Okay, so our opponent's going to Lysander and probably take out Tauros if I had to guess. Yeah, so that seems good on our opponent's for our opponent to do. And here, this is actually, I think, kind of a risky move as well, because he saw that we got a Shaman back in hand, so we can actually just knock out this this Yveltal with a Sky Return, as crazy as that is, because Yveltal has 210 hit points thanks to Fighting Fury Belt, and Shaman will do just enough. So we might be able to sneak back back in here. Okay, so yeah, we have Shaman. You know, DCE, we have the float stones, we have everything to make this thing happen here. And I'm thinking about something here, I guess. So we're going to Ultra Ball, get rid of Lysander and DCE since we're going to Sycamore anyway. Grab ourselves another Sharpedo. Okay, so... Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot our Aqua base is finally gone, so we can retreat for free again, so that's good. We'll get back Tauros, and looks like just a couple energies. And nice, so now our opponent's in a tricky spot. We're going to discard their only other energy that they're going to have in play after we Sky Return. It's going to leave their field without any attackers without energy here. And we can attack Bursting Balloon, but you know, just in case our opponent does do like a Max Elixir and an attachment for turn, they will be able to start attacking with their other Yveltal. So let's do that. And, you know, it's unlikely, but again, we're just trying to make sure we maximize our chances of winning here, especially since we have plenty of other Burst Balloons left to still use. Okay, so so we see our opponent play their own Tauros. Floatstone coming down on the other Garbodor. A Dark Energy, and what's the last card they have? Anything good? Or will we just see it pass? Okay, so just pass, I'm okay with that. And nice, we're starting to draw into our hammers. Do get a Tails, happens sometimes. But, I'm guessing our opponent's card in their hand is dead, so I think we might actually be able to pass without having to waste a Burst Balloon. So let's see here. We still somehow have to take two knockouts on EXs. So this could be challenging. Okay, so you do have Verse Seeker, so we can actually Lysander and potentially attack into something other than this Garbodor. And here I'm kind of getting a little risky. I'm kind of saying, hey, our opponent's hand is dead, so maybe they won't have anything to actually attack us with. And they're going to Lysander our Sharpedo. I'm fine with that. We have free retreat, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. And they're just going to pass. Nice, so... I don't know. I think we should maybe attach a Burst Balloon. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I like this play, because our opponent's eventually going to draw out of this. It's only a matter of time before they get an energy or a support or something. So maybe in hindsight we should have been Lysandering to take out this Tauros or Yveltal. I think that definitely would have been a better play here. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I was just like, hey, I really want my abilities back. But... Or do I even have Lysander in the discard? I forget. I'm pretty sure I do. Okay, so our opponent does get Sycamore, so good thing I attached the Burst Balloon. And it was only going to be a matter of time before they eventually hit something useful. Okay, they are going to attach the Tauros, so are we going to see a Horn attack here? We might. Let's see. I think if he attacks into us, we actually just knock it out, though. Because they're going to take 6 damage counters, and then Aqua Impact, I believe, will do 120, since Tauros has a 3 retreat cost. And I'm a little hesitant about attaching the Burst Balloon, but sure, let's do it anyways. So we're going to do 120, knocking out Tauros, going down to 1 prize here. And, okay, getting 2 Dugtrios, that's interesting. So even if Garbodor wasn't in play, we wouldn't have been able to make use of those guys anyways. So what does our opponent actually do here? If they end us to 1, that could be potentially bad, but even still, like, our opponent doesn't really have much to work with here. So we'll probably see a Sky Return. Trying to do the Sky Return loop on us, but luckily we do have Versus Seeker, so we can end our opponent down to 2 cards, and hopefully prevent them from doing that to us. But even still, let's okay, so we do have Lysander. Yeah, I think we definitely should have Lysander turns ago, like several turns ago, and just taken knockouts on like the Yveltal or the Tauros or something. So I think that was definitely a misplay on my part. But here we're going to Lysander the Yveltal. I don't think they're going to be able to retreat though, just because it has a belt, so they can't attach a float zone. All they could do is attach a DCE to retreat, but even still, then they can't even attack us. So I'm actually feeling kind of good about this. We may be able to steal this game after all. And so what does our opponent do here? If they have an Olympia or something like that, that could be interesting. So Versus Seeker, going for the end, going to push down at one card, but even still we have 2 Sharpedos powered up. Well, are they going to play? Okay, so cool, they are going to play the end. But like, so we have 2 Sharpedos. We have everything really we need, I think. And they're just going to retreat and pass into Garbodor. Okay, cool, so let's just Sycamore. I do have a Crushing Hammer as well, so even if our opponent does somehow get down, I mean, I guess we can bench Tauros. I don't know if it makes a difference. Like, I feel pretty good about our spot either way, but it is a little bit risky probably. Maybe I was just thinking, you know, in case our opponent ends us down to 1 again, I want to get this in energy out of our hand. But here our opponent just concedes. So we were down, I think, what was it, 6-3? I think, I forget what it was. But our opponent definitely had an early lead. They got out the Garbodors, they had the powered up Yveltals. But between all the bursting balloons and the hammers and all that, Delinquent, the Aqua's secret base, we managed to kind of squeak out a win there with Sharpedo, Alolan Dugtrio. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this new segment we're going to do. Like I said, if you want to see some interesting concepts, we're going to try to feature them and like all of the roguish decks in this segment and try to keep the budget decks without shaming in their own type of video segment. Yeah, as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out our merch over at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to help support the channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.